Have you ever
Good
heard that
morning.
kid? Good morning. Have you ever heard that
Yes.
one?
Yes.
LeBron James. I love that kid.
That is a good one. Welcome,
Good
everybody.
morning. Welcome. Here we
Welcome
are.
to Latchkey Life Pod, the
Yeah.
pod, the Insta, the Spotify, the YouTubes, the Gmail, the TikTok, all of it. Latchkey Life
Just
Pod.
not Facebook.
Yeah, you know what? I have to think about Facebook. It's like, does anybody still use Facebook? I was never a
I
big,
deleted
huge
my
Facebook
account. I don't
fan.
know.
Like in the beginning when everyone was doing it, and then it just got, I just didn't like, I don't know, I just didn't like it. But I think people
It's
are
too
still
much
using
drama.
it, but there is a lot of drama. A lot of drama.
Priscilla
All
still
right.
uses it for quilting.
Well, and that's the thing is I think like our generation and older are still using it, and that just basically, says you're old if you're still using Facebook. Maybe. I don't know. Kinda.
I don't either. I don't.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe someday,
Okay.
but not now. All
Not
right.
now.
It's Sharesy
Okay.
Caresy time. What are we sharesying?
Okay. You know I love a car chase. Love, love,
Yes, you
love, love,
do.
love, love, love them. And if anybody who doesn't live in the general Los Angeles area wants to see all of them on all of the respective local news channel YouTubes, they're all there. You can watch them live. I get alerts and then I turn it on, and wherever I am, I can watch them. And there have been some wild ones. Like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was a guy who carjacked a car and then he was driving, and then he, like, I don't know if that was running out of gas or he needed to change, but then he carjacked a big rig, and then he drove the big rig around, and then he carjacked another car. And now the new thing is you call your other criminal friends, allegedly, and you say, yo, I'm in a car chase. Meet me under the underpass at blah, blah, blah street. And then you get under the underpass and they're sitting there waiting, and you get out of the car you carjacked, and then you get in that car and then you take off. And sometimes they don't know that that's happening because the helicopters can't see over it, or the police aren't like right behind them because they're driving too crazy, and then they get away. Now, side note, unpopular opinion, don't believe all life is precious. And I believe that the piece of shit that carjacked the car with the 2-year-old, 7-year-old, and 9-year-old and went on a little driving spree and then T-boned somebody, and the 3 kids and the person he T-boned had to be airlifted out while he went running through the fields in Malibu to go like escape. They got him, by the way. Like, you get in, jump in a car and start driving off, and if there are 3 kids in it, pull over. Don't go on another 45-minute run. These poor little kids probably are terrified.
You're just adding to the charges that are going to be
Kidnapping.
you're going to have to answer to when they catch you. Not if they catch you, when they catch you. Yeah, you just
get
added
out.
kidnapping to your whole ball of
Just
mess
leave
there.
the poor kids alone. And then you're driving erratically, and then you T-boned this poor, like, I don't know if that person survived, but they had to be airlifted too. So everybody was airlifted to hospitals. It was awful. I do not believe that person's life is precious. So I don't know what's going to happen to him. Hopefully, bad things.
But don't you want him to suffer? Don't you want him to live so he can suffer?
Yeah, I hope bad things happen to him. Terrible things happen to him. And I'm sorry for, like, whoever cares about this person, but you can't. Makes me very upset.
Yeah, it's
Also,
hard to have any kind of feeling for somebody that does that without any regard for anybody else. I'm just going to run this person over because they're in my way, and I'm trying to escape the police.
And there are some there are some where you're just like, yeah, oh, this is going to end badly. And I mean, who doesn't love a horrific crash? But I just don't want other person to be involved. Now, I have watched, I'm going to say 3 where 3? Yes. One where the guy was riding a motorcycle doing like 100, and then he ran into a car and went like 100 feet in the air and then landed like 50 feet away. He died. Then there was the one where the lady that was flying lost control and ran into the like lane separator. She didn't make it. And then the one where the guy got out, and I think. I don't know if he shot himself or if it was a suicide by cop situation, but they've gotten a little bit better where they pan out and they put a delay and they do some things. But man, I love a car chase. Shout out to the OG car chase, OJ.
OJ, that was the OG of car chases. And then, what was the bar was it Hermosa Beach, Critters, where if there was a car chase, like it was like happy hour prices on drinks. They had
They
like a
probably
drink
had to
special.
stop. Yeah,
Yeah,
got to
because
stop
there were
doing
so
that
many.
because
It was like, oh
there's
well,
too many.
we're not making any money. There's too many car chases. Yes, your TikTok videos are quite impressive with all
I
the car
just
chases.
record
And I'm
what's
like,
on the.
oh, look at that. Ooh.
It's just straight off the TV.
I don't get a lot of car chases here, just a lot of bad drivers. So, but
Yeah.
all right. Well, my Caresy is I was listening to another show where they did a whole thing about Cliff's Notes. Do you remember Cliff's
Oh yeah,
Notes?
yeah.
We called them Cliff Notes, but it was actually Cliff's Notes with an S. But that sounds awkward, so I just say Cliff Notes. But quick and dirty, they were study guides for major works of literature, which we all had to read in school. And so they were intended to help you understand the themes and messages in these works of great literature, like The Great Gatsby, Scarlet Letter, Chaucer, Canterbury Tales, that kind of stuff. So they weren't intended to, you don't read the book, you just read the Cliff Notes. But, who are we kidding? And our teachers used to say, I'll know if you just read the Cliff Notes and didn't read the book. We don't know how that was true or if that was true, but they had their own little stand in the bookstores. I think they still sell them. And they were that really iconic yellow and black cover, stripes, almost like a danger hazmat sign. But that was kind of like the first AI, I guess you'd say, for us. And now that kids are using AI to write their term papers and their book reports and everything, it's getting a little frustrating for teachers and schools. So what I read was that they're going back to handwritten work, even though you could AI something and then write it down by hand, but especially exams. They're going back to it's you, your piece of paper, your Papermate pen. Here's your essay question. You have 30 minutes. And I'm going to stand here and watch you while you answer this question in essay form. So schools and teachers are going back to that format, which is kind of interesting because that's how we took tests. We very rarely got like a lot of multiple choice tests. You may have had a few multiple choice questions, but there was always essays. There was always explain in your own words, ... that we had to do. So I found that pretty fascinating as a way to try and combat the AI. I guess you'd call it plagiarism, although AI just kind of takes from a
AI
lot of
just
different
plagiarized.
sources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
right. We're early in AI, and I think probably in the next couple of years you'll see it evolve to where people will lean in and they'll teach you like, okay, it's a great tool. Like I plugged in, give me a 8-day itinerary for a trip to Spain. I didn't designate the cities though, so it was a little scattered. I had to revise it for 3 middle-aged women. That was a mix of tourist and local attractions, and it just boo, 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 boo,
Yep.
boo, had the hotel names, had their phone number, had the address. You lean
That's
into it.
useful. That's
It's
useful.
useful.
But using it basically to cheat or shortchange your education, I mean, I don't know.
I don't have
We
any
we
problem
we
with
did
it.
things like that with our Cliff Notes, but I don't know. If you ask
Well,
me how much algebra am I using these days, not a lot. But I do like to, send off a saucy email every once in a while, and I like it to be grammatically correct and coherent and make sense and have some kind of, thoughtfulness and power behind it. And sometimes you just don't get that with AI. Has to
you
come from
could
here. Has to come from here.
you could lead into it, right? Have it write like If you want it to evaluate certain literature, have it write it in one person's opinion and then have it write it in another. And then your job is to compare the two. Like, I
Right.
don't know. I mean, it's here. We should embrace it if they're using it. Cheating shortcuts helps. Like, I don't know. I'm all about.
All about how much help you can get for free.
Yeah. Also, like, think about it on the scope of things. Like, high school didn't matter. You're like, there's certain things. Like, I was a speech communication major. Like, I'm not out there giving speeches or talking to people or doing group I'm not doing any of that stuff. I don't think I ever did. And like, I just wanted to get the degree that I picked the path of least resistance. What gets me out of this place the fastest? And I did it.
All right. Well,
So
I'm just saying.
I,
Okay. So
some unpopular opinions today.
all right, let's move on to our topic. Since it's Labor Day weekend, we're going to talk about jobs we've had over the years, jobs and careers. So before we get into that, I'm not going to get into what Labor Day is and how it became a thing and da 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 da. All I'm going to say is thank you, Wikipedia. It's a federal holiday, the first Monday of September every year to honor and recognize the American labor movement and the works and contributions of laborers to the development of and achievements in the United States. Okay, that's all I got.
That's
You
it.
want more? You go figure it out. However, I did find it ironical that when I worked at the hotel, we had 5 paid holidays for hourly employees: Memorial Day, 4th of July, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day. Where's Labor Day? Labor Day. Labor is in the name. Yet workers did not get that as a paid holiday. Totally didn't understand that at all. Just saying.
It's
Don't get it.
I wonder if statistically it is like a bigger hospitality day, and that's why they opted not for it than for others.
And Christmas isn't, and 4th of July isn't. Come on.
There's holidays. I feel like the celebratory aspect of it is spread out over a couple of days. Where this is it. This is like the significance of the end. Summer is officially over. You can now no longer wear white.
I'm wearing my white pants this weekend because it's the last time I can do that.
You can't wear them.
Even though they say that's not a thing anymore, but sorry, it's like I see people wearing white pants in October. I'm like, nope, I don't think I would do that. Nope, nope.
And historically, it was the last day of summer. We all were going back to school the next day. Now,
Yep.
every school district in my general area, except for one, is already back. There is only one that starts tomorrow or Tuesday. So, I mean,
And it was
all
always the
that to say-
hottest week of the summer was the week we went back to school. And you're in
Yeah.
those hot uniforms. They're like, okay, go out to recess. You're like, what? No. No.
Polyester does not breathe for anyone who is asking.
No, it melts in the sun. Not fun. All right, so we're going to take a little time travel. We're going to get in the Wayback Machine and go back to jobs we had, jobs we hated, jobs we loved.
I
So
hated
why
them
don't you
all.
get us started with, do you want to start with your first job?
I'm going to start with the first and then talk more about the second because the first was kind of boring, but the second had some interesting aspects to it. So the first job, I was a hostess at Coco's. Coco's.
That's right. I forgot
Yeah.
you worked there.
Yep. Coco's was just a regular, like, little hamburger place. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of what today.
It
A
was
little
like
bit
a
better than
Denny's.
Denny's. A little bit
Like a Marie
like,
Callender's.
well, yeah, but those are all gone too. I'm trying to, if there's anyone under 40 listening, So I'm going to just say a little bit higher level than
Like a
Denny's.
Black Bear Diner.
Yes, like a Black Bear Diner. Not quite a Cracker Barrel. A little bit better than a Cracker Barrel.
Don't touch my Cracker Barrel.
I'm not.
Just
So
saying.
yeah, it was kind of a boring. The best part about that job was the busboy Renee used to call me Charon, boom, 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 and he'd walk by doing whatever he was, and he'd sing that little song, and he'd just do his little dance, and that was the best. That was the best thing that came out of that job.
That's pretty funny.
He was so awesome. The second job I had, I worked at a video rental store. VHS and no, not DVDs. God, that's so they sold equipment, VCRs and TVs and camcorders, the big and they rented VHS and beta tapes. Not so many beta. Beta phased out. There were very little. I just think back and I'm like, wow, like people used to go and you'd rent the movies. And then when a new movie came out, you'd get on the list and people would wait. And then we'd call and we'd cross their name off and it didn't come in by 3:00 and we gave it to the next guy. And everybody now can get the new one. You just push the button on your phone and you can watch whatever it is. You didn't have to wait. And then they had the one little section like in the back corner that had an entrance that was skinnier than different aisles. And then the one guy who was there a lot in that particular little square, there was like the like repair window was right next to it. So if you were getting stuff from there, you didn't have to like walk up to the front counter with your stack of empty to get them. We put them in. You could just do it over on the sides. Was a little, and he would oftentimes forget to return them in time, and he would get these bills of like he'd have to come in and pay his late fees and they'd be like $150, $300. It's
That's
crazy.
some expensive porn.
That's some. Now it's all free and you can just bebop boobop, voila, there it is, clickety clap. And before you had to get in your car, you had to drive to the store, you had to fill out paper. It was $3 a movie, then you had to bring it back, be kind, rewind, all of the things. But that was you got to learn a lot about people based off of the types of things that they would want to get.
Have you seen that documentary, The Last Blockbuster?
I have, and it was fun.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So those were the first two.
All right. Well, my first job was Marineland of the Pacific. I still have my name badge.
That is wild.
So in Rancho Palos Verdes, and we used to call it Poor Man's SeaWorld because it was a smaller, less exciting sea life park than SeaWorld. But I worked there the last 2 years before it closed. That was a huge drama. And I was trying to refresh my memory about stuff because this is 40 years ago. And
yeah.
I came across, there's a podcast out there called LA's Own Marineland, and it's from 2 years ago, but wow, this guy did an amazing job. He's a journalist from Torrance, California, still in the LA area as far as I know, but he went from beginning to end, the whole history of the park up until, it closed when I was working there. But that's where I met my friend Dave. Shout out Dave and Karina. They live here in Arizona. We reconnected when I moved here and worked in food service, which, it wasn't easy. It was hot. It was greasy. And there were days where there were just lines out the door for hours. And we started on the broiler together. So it was like a conveyor belt and the burger patties came out and you had to squeeze them with the spatula to get the grease out. And I swear to God, I would come home covered in that grease because it would squirt everywhere. It was just a hot, greasy kitchen. And then at one point we got put on the employee window, which was where all the employees could come to buy lunch on their breaks. So that was fun because we got to see everybody and talk to everybody and you knew everybody and you made friends with everyone. It was, aside from management and the animal trainers and the biologists, it was all high school kids that worked there. So somebody was always having a party, and it was just a fun time for 2 years. So then they closed it down. The company that owned SeaWorld bought it, moved the killer whales, and then said, we're done. So it was empty for a long time. And then they developed it into a resort, the Terranea, which is beautiful. It's expensive. It's like $400 or $500 a night to stay there. but it's right on the cliffs, overlooking the ocean and beautiful views, prime real estate. So that was my first job. And listening to that podcast really brought back a lot of memories, a lot of good times.
It is adjacent to Trump International Golf Course, which
Mm-hmm.
originally was called Ocean Trails.
Yep.
And right before they were about to like soft open, holes number 16, 17, and 18 slid into the
Yep.
ocean. And then they lost other funding, which is when Trump went and saved it and fixed the holes.
Yep.
And that whole area is still sliding.
Well, I remember I think it was the first season of The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Um, at the very end, the winner, the two winners, I think it was, I can't remember, but it was a guy, and he said, "Here is what you have to choose from as far as your prize. You can either take this cushy accounting job at this major accounting company in Chicago, or you can be the GM of this golf resort in Rancho Palos Verdes, the Ocean Trails Golf Resort." And I was like, "Oh God, don't take the golf resort. Don't take it. Don't take it." And he did not. He took the accounting job. I'm like, "Oh, thank God, dude. You don't want to deal with that hot mess." Because like they had fixed it up, but still, that whole area is constantly moving. The cliffs are constantly eroding. That area of Portuguese Bend, those people basically, the power company said, "We're not supplying, is it gas or power or both, to that whole area."
Gas was the one I think they shut off last because they were worried about it just exploding and blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't even live there. Your real estate is worthless. You had ocean view, cliff front property that's now worthless because it's literally sliding into the ocean.
Yeah. And then just down in San Pedro, the Sunken City,
Mm-hmm.
there was the list of houses that were right on the cliffs. My grandparents had the fourth one in, and they had to just abandon it because fell down the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
They yeah,
Whoops.
would have
Whoopsie.
been yeah,
Bye
sorry, my
bye.
bad.
So I was 16 when I started that job, and I think it's still the case in California where if you're under 18, you have to have a work permit,
Yes.
and that has to be signed by your parents. It has to be signed by the school,
Yes.
your school, to basically say you're a good student, you're not a delinquent, and you can accept this job, and that you have the wherewithal to do both. So that was kind of a weird thing. I was like, God, I remember having to have a work permit because I was 16 years old.
They
Crazy.
also put a lot of restrictions on the hours that the number of hours and how late you can work, which is
Right.
why so many places are like, I'm just not going to hire anyone until they're 18 because they don't, it's like the restrictions are too difficult to be able to do that. There's a lot, at least, places that will be able to do it for summer because the restrictions are a little less. So, yeah, that was one of the things that my kids encountered when they were younger is just trying to find a part-time job when you're
Hmm.
in high school was very difficult because people just don't want to hire anybody. But you could usually summer you could get something, but
Well, what I thought was funny was because I had to do my 8 minutes of research to remember, oh yeah, there's a work permit involved, was there's a list of jobs that are, that you can't have children do.
yeah.
Can't work in the mines, can't work on the railroad, can't work in the quarry, but you could be a chimney sweep, eh, governor? It's like, okay. I just had to laugh. I'm like, oh God, we're going back to like turn of the century when kids, well, they're small, their hands are small, so they can get in there and grease those axles on the train. They can climb under there. Just don't move the train yet. Ah, we lost another one. Ah, well, Jimmy was an orphan. Doesn't matter.
Like all things in life, it's probably an archaic thing that
Yep.
nobody's updated that
Yeah,
probably should be
exactly.
updated. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, I
So,
will say my favorite job that wasn't really a job that we all benefited from was when I got to do my college internship with the Los Angeles Kings Hockey Club organization. That was some fun times. It was
we
the
we
year
went to a
before,
lot of games.
yes, the year before Wayne Gretzky was signed, and then Wayne Gretzky's first year. And then you and I got to evolve into a fun little job that we got to do answering Wayne Gretzky's fan mail.
Yep. I still have my contract with his real signature on it
Yep.
somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah, but can we
I
talk
do
about
too.
that? Because
It's
aren't we like not allowed to talk
it's
about it for
past
like 50
no
years?
25. We're good. We're
Oh,
in the
we're
clear.
good. Okay, we're in the
We're long
clear.
in the clear.
Yeah, yeah, that
That
was
was
fun.
that was fun. There was always, right, there was so many 12-year-olds that was Mario Lemieux is better than you. That was a lot frequent. There was the very weird person that used to do all the horoscope symbols all over the place because he was
Hmm.
trying to give him advice. There were the people that thought Janet Gretzky was the Antichrist, because all the people from Edmonton who
Yeah,
thought Janet Jones,
they
she was
hated
the
her.
Antichrist for taking him away.
Yeah.
Uh,
There was always letters from, you could always tell the ones from people that were in mental institutions
yes.
or, they had a
That-
certain style. We won't go into detail, but they had a certain style, and it was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. A lot of wedding invitations. Please come to
yeah.
my wedding.
Yeah.
Things like that. So yeah, that was fun. That was
That was
fun.
fun.
We both also worked, well, I think while we were still in high school, we both worked at Bullock's department store
Yes.
in Del Amo Mall.
Yes.
And shout out to the mall.
The food court.
You were in the accessories department?
That is
Okay.
correct.
So like handbags, scarves,
Sunglasses. No,
sunglasses. No?
handbags was its own. So it
Okay.
was scarves, like costume jewelry, sunglasses, that kind of stuff. But
Okay.
handbags was its own thing. But the cheap handbags, the like
Right.
no name brand, was part of the accessories department.
So I was in the dining circle slash decorative accessories
That's
department. Okay.
right.
So you could plop my ass down in front of like a Downton Abbey era table, formal dining table, and I could tell you what every single one of those pieces is, what it's for, what it's used for, what it's not used for, where it's supposed to be on the table. I had to learn all of that. How useful is that? Not so much. But I could tell you the difference between a
May-
bouillon spoon and a teaspoon.
Maybe if you went on Jeopardy, it would be useful.
Could be. And then we also had the decorative accessories department that had table linens and candles and, fake flowers and statuettes and Yadro and stuff like that. But
Oh yeah, Yadro.
do you remember the old lady I worked with, Marietta?
Yes.
Okay, so Marietta was like the character of the store. She had been there forever. Everybody knew her. She was just a little old lady that everybody was like, oh, hi, Marietta. How are you today? That kind of thing. So she would come in and she was like a stray dog. She'd clock in and then I'll be back. So like you wouldn't see her for like the first 45 minutes to an hour of her shift because she went upstairs and got her coffee. And then she went around, she had to get her perfume samples from the perfume counter. She would come back reeking like some kind of perfume. And then we were right near the food court, so she'd go out into the mall and get like candy samples, and she would come back with like a bag full of stuff and just squirrel it away under the counter where the register was. When she retired, I'm not kidding, we cleaned that thing out and it was bags inside of bags inside of bags of just notes and samples and crap that she had squirreled away for I don't know how many years. We actually found a brick with her name on it. Everything had her name on it. A brick with her name on it wrapped inside like 10 store bags with her name on it on the outside, too. And we were like, what is this? Did she find this in the parking lot? And this was like, I don't know. What was she going to do with it? It was like crazy.
I
Crazy.
wonder what her house looks like or looked like.
Yeah. And Bob. So Bob's waiting for me. I gotta go. Marietta, can you stay 10 minutes? Nope, gotta go. Bob's waiting for me. Bob. Gotta go get Bob. Gotta make Bob's dinner. It's
And
all
then
about
Chrissy
Bob.
worked in lingerie and Sonia worked.
She was in, I think, the bedding department.
sh- She
Was
was
it
near, maybe
bedding?
she was in handbags.
She might have been. I thought she worked upstairs in like the bedding and linens.
Well, maybe she bopped
I don't know.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Chrissy started dating the security guy. I forget what his name was. Did they date? Did they maybe go on one date? I don't
I
remember.
don't remember.
He was fun. He was a nice
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, there was like young people that worked there, but it was all ages, all ages. And then I also had to deal with bridal registry. I didn't have
Oh,
to do the registry, but people that would come in to buy stuff off of people's bridal registry. And it's like, does anybody even do that anymore? I mean, I think people still do it, but they register for more practical stuff,
way
you know,
practical.
not like a formal china set and formal, you know, dining wear and stuff like that. But we would we'd go to work so hungover some days. It was
Ugh.
crazy.
We would work, and then we'd have the cosmetic people do our makeup, and then we would
Mm-hmm.
go to
Hula
what was
hands?
the no the
No.
before we were 21, the one on the pier.
Oh, fashions.
Fashions. Yes, we
Fashions.
did. We
Yeah.
would go to fashions and we would dance
Yeah. And then
and
we'd have to
be,
get up and go to work the next day
it was
and
brutal.
have to pull an all day shift. At lunchtime, we'd go to the food court and just be like, I need grease. I need to just put my head down on this table for
Please,
10
somebody
minutes.
help me. Yeah,
Yeah.
good
So,
times.
so that takes us through like high school, college.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to say the worst job I ever had was right out of college. You know, I was kind of like, all right, I graduated. Now what do I do? I have this business degree. I don't know what the hell to do. So I got a job with a company that sold wine. Now, I'm not a salesperson at all. You have to have a certain kind of, you either have it or you don't. And I just didn't. You have
I
it. I know you have it. But what it was it was a company that sold wine. And so you'd spend the first 3 days of the week on the phone cold calling customers based on leads from like a card they filled out, basically setting up an appointment to come to their house to do a wine pouring and a wine tasting. Okay, do you know what my sales territory was? Compton, Linwood, and Inglewood. Not the best areas of LA. And so what I was supposed to do was to set up all these appointments for like, you know, Monday through Wednesday, you spent the time calling. Thursday and Friday, you set up the appointments for those days. And then you went to the people's houses and you did this demonstration in the hopes that they would buy cases of wine. And I didn't even get that far because 3 days into this job, I was like,
nope.
no, not doing it, not doing it. So I just quit, and I just said, you know what, I don't think this is for me. So I never even got to the point where I think I booked maybe three. You were supposed to book like at least 10 a day for
That's
the 2 days that you were out in the field. And I think I booked maybe like three. And I was like, I can't do this. I don't feel safe going by myself to someone's house, and not in these neighborhoods of LA. So I quit. And that's when I kind of floundered around for a little bit. And then that's when my dad was in the process of opening his own business doing commercial real estate appraisal, and he said, look, why don't you come work with me, and if this is something that you like and you want to take the classes and take it over someday, you can. If not, I'll retire, whatever. So that's how I ended up working with my dad doing commercial real estate appraisal in LA of all places. So I mean, I
I
enjoyed it.
had I counted, and I might have missed a few, but I've had 21 different jobs. Now,
Wow.
I will say that the time I spent in sales in consumer electronics, that was like the boom. That's when it was like out of control going. It's like computers were just a thing. Like it was just starting. So like you'd be a job and people would be like, I like that person. You've got the personality. Do you want to work for me? And then the next person would be like, oh, you're doing really good at that. I want you to come work for, and then you just kept getting cherry picked, and they'd give you more
Mhm.
money and then cherry picked and more money and so it was like 15 years of that. So a lot of different jobs, but you just kept going from place to place. And I had one that I interviewed, and it had something to do with computer monitors, and I don't even remember what the job was, but the job was pitched to me as something, and then I got there and they're like, here's a phone book, start calling. And I'm like, excuse? No, that's not like, when we who am I call? Like, your product is like, nobody knows that anything about it, and and it's twice as much as everybody else's, and you think that I'm going to be able to, like, are you insane? No.
Mm-hmm.
So
No.
I don't think I made it a whole week. I left.
Yeah, cold calling, I mean, that's hard, hard. Now, I have a cousin who he not only sold used cars, he sold timeshares too. And he did fairly well at it. And I was just like,
That's
oh my God.
talent.
See, now that's the type of person that they could sell anything because they are a salesperson. It's something you're born with or you're not born with. So, yeah, but yeah. So my dad and I worked together for about 8 years. I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot about just not so much the actual work that we did. I mean, I did learn, but I mean, I learned more about how to work, how to, you know, interact with clients, how to sell yourself, how to just like a lot of life skills in the working world, as well as the actual work that we did. So that was very valuable. He ended up retiring, and then that's when I moved to June Lake, where I started my hospitality career, which I did for 20 years.
Ugh.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was, I guess you'd say that was the bulk of my working career was in hospitality. And then and it was also timeshare hospitality, not just a regular hotel, but a timeshare hotel. So the management contract was being canceled, and I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to go. I think I've had enough. I've had enough winter. I've had enough of this resort, and I really don't know how much longer this resort's going to be around. And so that's when we made the decision to move here to Arizona and did a little hospitality when I moved here because I thought, well, I might as well just stay with what I know. And then I thought, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't need to be in charge and being, the person that has to fix everything and the person that doesn't get a day off because somebody didn't show up. I just got tired of that. So that's when I started my, what I like to call my pre-retirement career in the world of logistics. And we'll just see where that goes. I really have no real responsibility. I do my job, I go home, nobody bothers me, and I make order out of chaos every day is what I say. I enjoy my coworkers, I enjoy where I work. I enjoy I guess I enjoy the actual work. It's not an easy job. It's very physical, but um, it's satisfying at the end of the day, and mentally, I'm in a much better place. So,
Yeah, I hear you. Same. Yeah, yeah, after however many years of sales where there's never a break, right? It's as soon as like, as soon as the month closes, it's like, all right, get the ground running. We got to hit the next month. And then it's
mhm.
like, okay, as soon as the year's over, you don't, it's just constant. And,
Yep,
there were times where it was 24/7. Like, I worked
yep,
for a company that manufactured jukeboxes, and bars are open till 2 a.m. And if
yep,
something goes down, even though I can't fix it, I'm the person they call because they're losing money. So
right.
it was constant. So after I finally had been done with sales, I'm like, I'm going to go find myself a nice, easy job that offers really good benefits, that has 14 paid holidays a year, where I can actually make an impact and a change. And I found office work in the government sector, and it's so satisfying. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I could totally fix this thing. And you do it, and everyone's like, oh, I've never seen that before. And you're like, this is so easy. But you're actually making improvements and changes and having a positive impact. And there's no stress. When I leave 4:30, nobody calls me. Nobody, I don't, it's over. It's done. Nobody's expecting me to answer a phone or an email. And it is so delightful.
You can't put a price on that. You really
Yeah.
can't. I mean, when I was managing the hotel, it was it was a major corporation that was the management company. And so you're dealing with a lot of corporate stuff in a town that's tiny and
It's
a resort that was
900.
tiny. And I was the square peg that didn't fit in the round hole. And I would try to explain, well, we don't want to hear your excuses. I'm like, all right, well, that's just not going to get done because it doesn't exist here. And, I tried to have fun with it. I tried to be a nice manager. Unfortunately, being nice is doesn't always work. And just had a lot of challenges with oh no, we don't call them challenges, we call them opportunities. You know what? You can
Opportunities.
you can shove that right up your ass because the corporate speak was just so
Ugh.
annoying. So annoying.
KPIs.
And KPIs. And I would be talking with my boss and she would say, Karen, I don't disagree with you, but we have to play the game. And I just was not good at playing the game. However, my scores were some of the highest in the company, my overall experience scores, and people loved the place. It was cute, it was charming, it was friendly, we were gave very personalized attention because we could, because it was small and a small staff. But I mean, I worked my ass off in that place.
Way too much.
Way too much, and just never really had a lot of time off. And what did I read one time? It said, nobody ever said on their deathbed that they wish they'd worked more.
That is very
So
true.
I got the opportunity to bebop on out of there, and I said, we're out. I can't do winters anymore here. I don't want to do this job anymore. I'm tired of driving 2 hours just to go to, a Walmart or a Costco or a Trader Joe's.
Schlotsky's.
I need to be where there's conveniences, services, and that's when I called Sharzy. I said, I need a spreadsheet. I
I
need a
did it.
spreadsheet. She did it, and here I am. So it's hard, I kicked ass at that job. I was at the top of my game, but it just wore me out. Really wore
Yeah,
me out. And we
agree.
would have these surprise audits on top of everything.
Ugh.
And I got in touch with one of my old auditors recently, and I just said, "Did I ever get a 90 out of you on an audit? We had to like squeeze you to get a 90." Just laugh like, "I don't know. You might have. I don't think so. You tried."
Nobody gets 90s.
I know I don't give out 90s. But yeah, it was crazy. But managing people, not an easy thing to do.
No,
And yep. So that's where we're at now.
that's it. Yep.
And like I said, I call it my pre-retirement. I like to say I'm pretending at being retired because I'm ready. I'm ready to
Yeah.
retire. And that's one of the
I've
reasons why I took this job is so that I could have kind of a retirement and also the health care. As you get to be our age, that gets important. You need to have that reassurance that you can go to a doctor and it's not going to wipe you out financially.
There's also a lot of good opportunities that when I do retire and I want something part-time just to keep me busy, if I decide to do that, the government, there's so many options for part-time. Like it's just
Yeah.
easy. There's a lot of part-time options. They like to, because they have such great benefits for their full-time people, they have a lot of part-time jobs. So I will be exploring those opportunities
Well, and you
in
have your foot in
7
the
to 10
door now.
years. Yeah.
You have your foot in the door now. So they hire from within, they move people
Yep.
around. I had looked around here at some of the county jobs, and then I saw, oh, okay, this is how it works. So you have to get your
Yeah.
foot in the door, and then you can kind of move around when things come open. But yeah, you can't beat the benefits.
Yep.
And,
That is
you
true.
know, that's a Gen X thing right now. Our generation is struggling with how are we going to retire because we weren't so smart when it came to that. It was, we kind of played our youth away and didn't really think about the long term until, okay, I got to start thinking about the long term, but I'm already in my 50s now. So,
Yeah.
whereas
I
our parents' generation, you went to work for the company,
worked for you.
the, what am I saying? You lived in a company town and you worked for the company. from the time you were out of high school till you died or retired, and you had something, you had a pension or a benefit or something like that. So,
Yes, I encouraged both of my children who are in the education sector and have great benefits and pension plan, and are also explained the benefits of 401k. So they're both contributing to that. And if they continue down the path they're on, by the time they are of the earliest possible retirement age, they will have enough money. So
Mhm.
shout
Yep.
out for them being prepared, because someone's going to have
Yep.
to take care of me in my old age.
Can you put me on that list too? Can I
Yes.
can I add them?
Sure.
Two can
Yeah.
live as cheaply as one, right?
We'll find a place that we'll find a nice duplex or a room with two beds,
I
and
tell my
I will
nieces,
make a
I tell my
requirement that
nieces
you
and
are my roommate.
nephews, I tell my nieces and nephews that, okay, whoever takes care of me gets all my money. You know, in the event that I outlive my husband, if whoever takes care of me, you can have it, whatever's left, you can have it all. So, all
All
right. So
right.
that was our
That's our
life and
Labor Day.
career, and that's our
Yeah.
Labor Day special. So, what you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis? Okay, so I have found the guy on TikTok. His at sign is Pano Pancakes, and his name is Blue Franklin. And what he does is he breaks down like the word, let's say, dude for Gen X, for millennials was bro, and for Gen Z is bruh. So he goes through a bunch of them, and that's when as I'm going through them, I was like, oh, those are pretty accurate. So the one I really liked was our term fat, PHAT, is banger and slaps for Gen Z. Um, and then as I was kind of, I did a spreadsheet. Oh, you can't see my spreadsheet. I did a spreadsheet.
Of course you did. Why wouldn't
Of
you?
course I did. And I looked, and there's a lot. I think like we used to point out like what was, and the newer generations are pointing out what it isn't. For example, like we would say, oh yeah, for real. They say no lie, no cap. So we're saying the thing that it is, and they're saying the
Right.
thing that it's not, which I thought there were a handful of um, that were like that. But my favorite one was the Labubu, which is Gen Z, is Beanie Babies for millennials and Monchi-Chi for
Yep.
us. Love the Monchi-Chi.
I was one of my podcasts I listened to, they did a whole thing about Labubu, and that's what they said. They said for our generation, if you remember the Monchichi doll, that's kind of what it reminds you of. And I was like, it totally does.
Mm-hmm.
Monchichi,
Chi-Chi,
Monchichi.
Monchi-Chi. Oh,
Yep.
so soft and
Yeah.
cuddly.
And
Does
their
it sound
thumb
like
would
you
stick in
found
their
me
mouth.
pretty
Yep.
neat?
Oh,
All right.
yep. I
Stroll
remember
down
that.
memory
And
lane.
that was very helpful. You sent me that video, and I
Yes.
was like, okay, I
Oh,
need a side by
totally.
side. I need a side by side.
Perfect.
I need
I'll
to
share you.
know apples and apples.
I'll share the
Because,
spreadsheet with you.
one thing that used to infuriate me about the hotel company that I worked for, we won't mention them by name, but whenever when somebody was leaving the company or was like their job was eliminated and they had to announce it to people, they would just say, so and so is leaving the company, blah, 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 their position, da, da, da. And then someone would come in and take their place, but they wouldn't say, okay, well, this person is replacing so and so, or this person is replacing, this position is replacing that position. They wouldn't do that. And I'd be like, who is this person? What? They just made up a new title for him, and I don't know what he does. And it was like, they wouldn't say, Jim left and Steve's replacing him. We wish Jim well. They just wouldn't do
It'd
that.
make it
Or
easier.
if you were leaving in disgrace, they just wouldn't even tell people. You'd try to send them an email and it would come back undeliverable. And you're like, what happened to Joe? Oh, he got fired. Okay. So, but they never would explain apples to apples, this is what's going on. We've eliminated these positions and we've added these. We've just rearranged all the regions again. Sorry. Figure it out.
That would have been helpful.
The org chart changed too much, I think. That's why they just never they never updated it. It just changed too much. But all right, so my what you talking about, Willis? This goes back to like I don't know how far it goes back, but I was at work the other day, and okay, you can stop that. The dog's scratching. Um, one of my drivers came, and his hat still had the sticker on it on the bill, and I thought, okay, I've seen this a lot with guys with their ball caps. They leave the sticker on the bill,
Yep.
and I never really knew why. So I asked him, I said, "What's with the sticker on the bill of your cap? I know that's been a thing for a long time." And he's like, "Oh," he said, um, if you keep the hat a year with the sticker on it, you can get a new one." I said, "Okay." He said, "And plus, like if it gets real dirty, you can peel that little sticker off and you have this cool little clean spot on your bill." I'm like, "What?" So then I went home and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And I looked it up and it turns out it's has nothing. I don't know what. I don't know if he was just yanking my chain or what, but I looked it up and it goes back to, I think it was a rapper or somebody that wore a specific brand of hat and then people started copying it and making knockoffs. And so you left the sticker on your hat to show everybody
Prove it's real.
you were wearing the original.
Yeah.
And I just thought that is not even close to what this guy told me. So I don't know
I
what
like
the
the
truth
ingenuity
is.
though.
I know. I'm like, okay, free hat. And, oh, cool, clean spot on your hat. What are you gonna like paint a smiley face on it or what? I don't get it.
Maybe.
So, just something I've always wondered about that I finally asked somebody, but I think they just gave me some dank answer. I don't know. At
At least they had an answer.
least you had an answer, right? All right, well, that's all I got today.
That's it. That's all I got. That is
That's it.
enjoy if you get the option to not labor on Labor Day. Enjoy that. I will be doing that. I don't have anything planned.
Yeah, me either.
An
I'm gonna tootle
real
out
day off.
downtown and we have what I call the crap fests that go on, crap
Yeah.
festivals. It's crafts, but I call it crap because it's the same crap every time they do this on holiday weekends. But I always like to take a jaunty downtown and there's always at least one booth that's mildly
Something.
different that, is kind of
Something.
interesting and just kind of tootle around and maybe eat something on a stick. I don't know. Sounds like
Sounds
fun.
like a plan.
All right,
All right, my
everybody.
friends. All right.
Okay.
Peace out. Like, share, comment.
Peace in the Middle East.